openness. You felt he had feminine traits. I mean, if I were a guy, that would freeze me up.
This is your vows to me.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Finally, we're dealing with Dr. Pepper coming at neck. Alright, let's go again. Finally, we're dealing with Dr. Pepper coming at the neck, you understand, of Karen. Finally, it's happening to me. We're glad, you know what I mean? Because she's been taking a mick for a very long time and hasn't been held accountable for her actions. Today, we'll deal with it. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for a notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Yeah. Grab the merchandise, baby. Alright, cool. So, dealing with the Karen and Miles situation, we did part 1 where we just did a quick overview. Here, we're dealing with a situation where Karen spoke to Dr. Pepper. And I am absolutely very happy with the way that Dr. Pepper came at the neck of Karen. Because I was sick and tired of the way they allowed Karen to get away with her behavior. I spoke about this last time with Dr. Viviana, and I said that the way that she said, let's take intimacy off the table, I was like, no, that's not solving the issue. That's further along putting it underneath the rug. And eventually this is going to explode. And we saw Miles' reaction. Wasn't too happy, but can he argue with the experts? Is he in a position to do that? Is he strong enough to do that? You know what I mean? It takes a very strong person to go against the grain and against authority. All right, cool. Now, in this particular episode, we got to see the opening dialogue.
We still try to do like small, sweet things for each other.
Woke up this morning, made us breakfast. That's all. Breakfast.
I felt like Karen took plaudits for something she never did. My girl said, and listen to what she said. We. There is no we in this, darling. They showed clips and not one thing did you do. Not one did you do. You didn't do but one. You understand? And I'm struggling to think back to a time apart from the fact you cooked at midnight at some red lobster tail or whatever you cooked, whatever. That's the only time I've seen you serve a brother. You understand? So, yes, you may cook or whatever. That's your little thing. But in terms of serving him, I've seen it. You're saying we done things. Where's the we, blood? There is no we.
Off to work. Got a little lunch for her. I'll be washing the beans all day, you know. Clean the bathtub for her so she can take a bath when she gets home.
All right, there's been him doing things, thinking about you. Think about how considerate a man is being. And I'm not just trying to say because he's a man. I'm saying if it's a woman, I'll do the same thing. Think about how considerate your partner is being when he thinks about how you've gone to work and when you come back, you're going to be tired, you're going to be, you're going to be hungry. And he's thinking, how does he best serve you in this moment as he stays at home? Think how, do you know how great that is that you have somebody like that is willing to think about the fact that you went out to work, hard work, and is coming home and said, listen, I need to make sure I cook for you, make sure you run your bath water. I'm doing all these things to show you that I care for you. Come on, that's big. So when the fact you said we, I was confused because there has not been no we, it's been you. I should say him rather than you. So we're waiting on what Karen's been doing because I haven't seen it. You know, even your anniversary present, you didn't get one. But let me say nothing less.
I always had this fear that like he was so inclined to like be the good guy and things like that, that I'm like, are you really being the real?
And I want to really address this. So I want to be fair to Karen and say, listen, look, when maybe you've gone through some trauma, gone through a really bad relationship breakup, and it's really affected you in the way that you deal with and process relationships. This can affect the way that you actually operate in a new relationship by carrying baggage from the past one. And it's very easy to say, well, make sure you don't have that baggage. It's very easy to say, but how does one do that? And I think with the Karen and the Miles situation here, what we're seeing is Karen processing the information where a lot of women are. They're processing information after dealing with a very bad guy on how to accept the good guy. I think I said this the last few weeks, and I said that this often comes from a place of trauma. When you've experienced traumatic events in relationships with men, whether it's your father, brother, uncle, cousin, and nephew, whatever you've suffered a traumatic experience with the male species, it can make it baggage and heavy baggage when you come into an actual relationship with a very good male, because what you've experienced is now become part of your programming. I also think as well the fact that her father may be a certain way and her mother, because her mother's very stiff upper lip, I wonder if that comes from the father. The father didn't want to come to the wedding or be shown on the wedding. That should let you know that his mindset is a certain type of way. Maybe that's a baggage that she's carrying into the relationship as to why she considers him not a certain masculinity, and we'll deal with that in a little bit later on. So I can understand there's a natural fear of the way that you are going to go into this relationship. What I don't understand is what I'm seeing is that there is a need for input of a conversation, because Karen was carrying on like she was sublime. She was carrying on like she never did no wrong, like her doo-doo don't stink. And we as an audience were looking at it like, Karen, get your stuff together. We want to see a black woman treated like a queen. And you're getting treated like a queen and you're out here moving mad. But this is the reality of a lot of women who've dated bad boys. Okay, when you date some of these bad boys, you're excited by the adrenaline, you're excited by the spontaneity, you're excited by the command, the assertiveness. These are positive traits that are existent in a bad boy, aside the negative parts. And so when you taste that, it's hard to go back to something that's a bit more gentle, that is not so assertive, that's not so giddy, that's not so rough around the edges, right? That's not needing saving, because some of you women, when you choose these bad boys, you're trying to save them. I can change him. I can stop him from becoming a bad boy. You're trying to tame the shrew. It can't happen. And so what happens now, especially with the information Karen's told us, the fact the last ex cheated and had a baby on her, that's traumatic. It can make you think twice about entering a relationship. But you entered married at first sight. You didn't enter a relationship. You entered a married at first sight. You asked for a speedy go along. You asked for the ticket that gets you past the queue. So at that point, your process is accelerated, okay? And so I can understand why there's a fear there from Karen in that respect.
It's literally what I've been begging him for. Like, don't suppress your feelings so much, like just trying to be like, I'm Mr. Nice Guy.
And it's like, I get it. Do you know what? Communication and receiving the information and being able to process it, two different things. Let me say this again for you guys. For those of you who are going to be married or not married or trying to go into a deeper relationship with their partner, I want you to understand something. You can communicate something in a certain manner, but the tone, number one, is important. The time is important. The words that are actually used are important. And then when the person receives it, how did they receive it? In terms of what did they actually hear and comprehend? And we did a video about this, about how it's communication versus comprehension. No matter how much I'm communicating, how clearly I think I'm communicating, if you're not comprehending, it's not going anywhere. And so, I totally do understand Karen's position a little bit, in the sense of the fact that she wants it raw. But what is it actually? What does it actually really want from that? You want it to be direct, because we did direct and we got in trouble. We did direct, yeah, and we did it raw. Okay, and you said you wasn't ready for the conversation, if you're forgetting. So is it really that you want it raw, or is it the type of person you're saying it's from? Because the type of person it's coming from, you don't consider him to be masculine. Yeah? And maybe that's the reason why, right? And so it's interesting, because when Dr. Pepper calls her out and says it's all seemingly about your needs, Karen's face changes slightly, but it's when she swallows that I realize, whoa, this girl doesn't like to be in trouble. The whole time she's been coasting, getting propped up by Dr. Viviana, instead of actually spoken to her and said, listen, actually, you know what, your baby's moving mad. Previously as well, with the whole, going home situation, whatever. We don't get to see that. When Dr. Pepper addresses her, she literally swallows. And I said,
oh goodness, you felt he had feminine traits. I mean, if I were a guy, that would freeze me up.
She's got her. She's finally got her. She's going to have to really evaluate her behavior now, because beforehand, she hadn't been evaluated. She'd been moving as she wanted to move, at the pace she wanted to move at. And now, something's moving her along, say, hey, come on, speed up. You're moving too slow. And now she feels a little bit uncomfortable. So she swallowed hard at that point, when she said, we get reports. Literally, the Adam's apple went in and went out. It went in and went out. You know what I'm saying? I saw that she was reacting to that. And probably fearful. She's probably fearful of what reports were coming for her. Yeah, because for her, she's the perfect little girl. She hasn't done nothing wrong. Maybe again, and this is why I say it may allude to the family life, because the way she reacted, I thought, okay, people get in trouble, but you're even lucky that the cutting by Dr. Pepper wasn't even too heavy. But the way you looked, I was like, okay, maybe this is a deeper implied meaning for her. Maybe in the past, the way her dad has told her off, this, or her mom told her off, this replicates that behavior. Maybe that triggers something. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, so you never know with these things. You never know with these things. Anything could be a wash. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, Dr. Pepper calls her out on the feminine energy comment, and I think it's absolutely right she did, because we've been sick and tired of hearing Karen's explanation as to what is femininity, what is masculinity, and her definitions that are off and often confusing. You know, I know she has a very, you know, focused mind on what she considers to be masculinity, and it doesn't seem to be Miles. You know, so when Dr. Pepper pulls her up on that, I thought absolutely right she did, because at the end of the day, what you've done, okay, is almost demasculated the man. That's what Dr. Pepper had to say. You've demasculated him by, and what man would want to be in a situation where they're being called feminine just because they're expressing their emotions? And we know this because the last few weeks, like I said, we've been dealing with it over the past few weeks. The way she speaks about his depression, the way she speaks about the way he's able to be with emotions. You know, she's spoken quite candidly on these subjects and expressed the fact that it's not masculine for her. You know what I mean? So what kind of masculinity have you seen? Because if you haven't seen emotion, can you really say that's a positive angle of masculinity? If you've never seen a person feel sad, down, cry, you know, some type of frustration or something like that, then are you really seeing what you're meant to see? You know what I'm saying? Are you really seeing what you're meant to see? That's what I would say, you know?
Would not encourage openness. You felt he had feminine traits. I mean, if I were a guy, that would freeze me up.
So, when she mentioned about the feminine traits as well, you're going to see Karen like literally shift in her seat. And the reason why she's shifting her seat is because, again, she's been outed for her behavior. And rightly so, again, because you are saying certain words to this young man, okay, and you're bringing confusion to him because at one point you're on it, but the way your behavior doesn't show that. Oh, I find you attractive, but you're not showing that. And you're not even telling him that you find him attractive. He's unaware of your interest, but you want to pick up the signals. And so when I saw that, and then she started to cry, and I was like, oh, she started to cry about it again. And the funny thing was, the conversation went from being about Miles and dealing with him again into what her needs were. And she was like, oh, you know, I've told him, like, you know, this is a time not to be nicey about it. Tell me sternly, tell me raw, blah, blah. And it's like, listen, babe, he's telling you how he wants to tell you. Like, he's told you. You heard it. It's your decision to learn and hear it and say, okay, I accept it. I'm going to do something about it, right?
This is your vows to me.
Don't cry.
All right.
How are you?
Point, you know, she even made a point, and I didn't even pick up on it. So it was the last episode where they were doing their vow thing, and she said, obviously, don't cry. And I was like, I completely missed that even, to look at that angle that, again, is demasculating. But again, it's part of the parcel of what we're saying about in that episode, which was that even when they were at the park last episode, no gift, saying to him, obviously, yo, like, you know, you actually swing, da-da-da-da-da. Like, there were so many different things, little nitpicks that she was putting out that showed me that she didn't consider his masculinity masculine. She considered it some type of feminine, like when it showed about the nails thing. And it's interesting that people picked up on that whole. I saw some comments on some video, and they were talking about, oh, I wouldn't want Mars come, you know, get his nails done with me, da 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 da. But when it's Woody, it's fine, it's masculine, right? So deep it. See, even that Amani's not making it feel like it's not masculine, that her man wants to take care of his nails, or, you know what I mean, come for a pedicure, whatever, right? It's not unmasculine for Amani, and she's happy. So again, may need to refine what your understanding of masculinity is, which what was addressed by Miles and the conversation that they had, and finally stood up. But again, we'll do that in part 3 of the video. You know, and she said obviously that she's feeling him out. I don't need. She's like, I don't need you to be my girlfriend. Calling me sis.
He's called me like sis, for instance. My female friends, they're the ones that are like, hey sis, like, how you doing today? I'm like, I'm your wife.
And I'm like, girl, how many times has he called you sis? And how many times has he called you his wife? How many times? You're talking about someone not calling you sis. You are not even here to do touchy-touchy. You are talking about somebody else's calling you sis. You can't even do touchy-touchy. Is he your bro? Is he your bro? You understand? So this, you see, you're saying, you want it raw, you want it raw. You can't even touch the brother. You understand? And you are concerned because he called you sis 1 or 2 times. Like, bro, oh my days. Like, honestly, the levels, they're not high. Honestly, you know, the fact that she had obviously, and I felt like when she said, she's feeling him out, I really felt like, again, that was another cop-out, another excuse to cover your back, another reason as to why I'm behaving the way I'm behaving. It's an excusatory behavior, it felt like to me. It didn't feel like she genuinely felt like that was a cause of an issue of why she couldn't see him in a more masculine light. 1 or 2 times you've been called sis. Like, bro, are you forgetting that, listen, you don't touch, man? Like, yo, like, you hear him talk about he wants physical intimacy. What's bro-ish about that? You've heard him talk about he wants sex. What's bro-ish about that? When he was writing on the calendar, was that bro-ish? Like, yo, don't try to use that as an excuse, as a deflection for the majority of the missed opportunities that you have not taken to offer some type of physical intimacy here. Sis, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I really felt like the sis comment was a cover up for the fact that, again, it's just similar to the conversation she had with Miles' sister about, you know, I'm thinking that when's the niceness gonna end? When's the sweetness gonna end? And the sister was like, nah, this is him. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like that comment about the fact that, you know, he called me sis, again, was a deflection from the fact that you don't like his masculinity. His type of masculinity does not meet yours. His masculinity is a threat to your femininity because the way that you see his masculinity, you don't see it as being the masculinity that you would understand. It's not traditional masculinity for you, all right? And that's causing you problems. It's causing you a situation.
One of the greatest guys that could ever walk into your life.
It's interesting because obviously Dr. Pepper then, you know, says to her, listen, you're going to miss out on a great guy. And you see the face of Karen kind of change. She realizes that, listen, I'm trying. And that's why I said to myself, I hope that Karen is really trying. That's why her face was like that. She's trying to see what everyone else is seeing. She's trying to get her mind to realign or to correctly align and see this brother as more than just a friend. And see this brother outside of the friend zone. Do you feel what I'm saying? Like, so for her, you know, it was really about her needs again coming through, and it really was. It just sounded a bit selfish, you know what I mean? As you're talking to Dr. Pepper about what I need. What does Miles need, sis? What does he need, sis? You go. And then so obviously they spoke about the fact that being upfront, you know, and being expressive about what he wants. Okay. You know, and she said that she wants it raw and wants it to communicate. And I'm like, sis, we done tried that and ended up with you leaving the house, which we still haven't addressed. You ended up leaving the house and going away for a few days, or going away for a few hours, or the overnight. You know what I'm saying? And didn't come back till next day. You understand? So you want it raw, you want it real. I hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get it. You want it raw, you want it real. But the last time he did that, it didn't work out. So do you really want it raw and real? Or, again, she made a point of the fact that she felt like he wasn't giving his best foot forward, or he wasn't showing his true nature and true colours. But this is him. Sis, this is him. This is him.
Last night, he said that he didn't feel like I was trying in this relationship. And he even told me, like, if decision day was today, I would choose not to be married.
And also as well, Karen was speaking about the resentment of Miles. That, you know, she felt like, obviously, if she doesn't obviously do something, he's going to resent her. And it's interesting that she felt emotional about that. And that's why I said to her, I don't personally feel like Karen is absent-minded, the fact that Miles like her. She's not absent-minded, the fact that she's not trying to just get a brand deal or get TV time. I'm not going to say that's, I don't think that's her, right? I think that there's fear that's controlling her, as Pascal said. There's a lot of fear that is dominating her answers. And so in respect with Miles, when it comes to, you know, like he wants to feel like he's wanted, and she can feel like he's pulling away now, right? Suddenly the realization is like, oh my God, this guy actually has got balls, right? Now, oh, this guy actually could leave potentially, because again, we sometimes in relationships get complacent. We think to ourselves, oh, that person could never leave me. I know they like me, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you don't know what plans they're drafting up. You don't know what things they're doing up. You don't know where they're going up. You know what I'm saying? So
Married, because I don't feel like you're putting in effort.
Yourself in a place of surprise, right? Because this way Karen is, because she was complacent, because she thought that Miles would always be there, because she thought Miles would be this fallback and safety net. Now she's seeing that, okay, no, Miles got some balls on him. Oh, Miles is telling me what it is. Because now Miles is not feeling like he's not going to be there at the end of the day. And now suddenly that security blanket that you had beforehand stripped away. All is stripped away. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of it is taken away. And so now you're looking at Miles in a different way because you no longer hold the power, right? And what scares me is that that Karen is still in the power control zone of their relationship, and Miles hasn't reached it at all. And so for me, Miles is going to miss out a considerable amount because this girl is still trying to hold on to power in their relationship. And so now that she saw that Miles is saying that he might not complete the process, you suddenly see the energy coming to Karen that she's now fearful. Why is she fearful? Because now the person who was there just to be a cushion to land on is no longer there. You're falling on deaf ears. And so yeah, I see Karen. I see that, you know, I'm hoping that there's going to be an improvement, because I felt, like I said, with her talking to Dr. Pepper, she needed to be called out. Number two, you know, you can't keep thinking people are going to be there forever, and you know, you have to be ready for that. You know, so yeah, guys, I don't know, man. I want to leave it there. You know, Miles did warn Karen about the fact that he was feeling a certain way, and it's now coming to pass. So, you know, I don't know. For you guys, what do you guys think? Let us know down below. Another 2 parts we'll bring out as well. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for a notification of the uploads. And we appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded.